Hello everyone, I am Torit Mato and you are watching Art and Purulia. This is the fifth video of the series Drawing for Absolute Beginners. Today I'll discuss composition. These techniques, though I'll focus on applicability in drawing and painting, applies to photography also. What is composition? It's the way you arrange and present your subject matter in order to create a more pleasing and interesting image. One may argue that interesting and pleasing are completely subjective. What is pleasing to one might not be pleasing to someone else, and that's certainly true to some extent. But there are a number of visual characteristics that trigger the same aesthetically pleasing response in all of us. It's those characteristics that we want to exploit as artists. The most important aspect is creating a strong focal point. A strong focal point tells your viewer what the single most important thing is in your picture and then guides their eyes back to it after they explore the rest of the image. Most compositional rules are there to help you create a strong focal point. Think of the focal point as your reason for creating a piece of art in the first place. What's the one thing about the subject that captures your imagination more than anything else? That's what you need to emphasize. Yes, you can have other areas of interest with your picture, but they must not compete with your focal point. If anything, they draw the viewer's attention back to it. Here is an image where there is no focal point at all. Your eyes do a quick scan of the painting, find that there is nothing of interest, and you move quickly on. This painting, on the other hand, has a clear focal point in the old structure. And while it is still a fairly simple painting, it's much more interesting than the other. There are a lot of things wrong with this composition, but the biggest issue is that there is no focal point. They all have equal weight, so I have got no idea where to start looking, and I have nothing to go back to after I have explored around the image. The jars are all bunched up together. Here is an improvement. It's far from a mind-blowingly interesting composition, but it does capture and hold your attention more than the first one. Now in this, we have an element which has bigger size as well as catchy color. So automatically that becomes your focal point. But the big mistake we do is to assume that a focal point is created only through its content. That means it can be a figure or a face, a house or a car, or even an oil rig. Focal points are not just defined by their content. They are defined also by their characteristics, like their tonal value, their color, and their texture. One very important aspect to remember is that an artwork should have a single focal point, a point of interest that is emphasized over and above everything else in the picture. We'll see an example of competing focal point. Here, the artist has painted these rocks and realized that those are competing with the sunset. So she removed the rocks altogether and created a far appealing painting with the clear single focal point. Common mistakes regarding focal points include no focal point at all, competing focal points, and a focal point created through its content only and not supported by its characteristics. Let's see what are the elements of composition. Though there are quite a few of these, but let's talk of the most important ones: shape and size of the objects, value and contrast, color, leading or directional lines, and details. Shape and size are quite obvious. An object of different shape will stand out in the crowd of the other objects of similar shape, and bigger an object is in your drawing or painting, the more visual weight and importance it has. Value and contrast. Values and the way that you use them make a huge impact on a painting. The higher the contrast between an object and its immediate surroundings, the more that object will stand out and the more your eye will be drawn to it. So by giving a high contrast, you can emphasize your focal point. It's a good rule of thumb to always have high contrast in your focal point. If you have other areas of high contrast outside the focal point, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean you will need to make use of additional elements, things that we are about to come on to, in order to emphasize the main point of interest even further. Color. Let's talk about color and especially how it affects the focal point. You can draw more attention to your focal point by using a greater variety of colors compared to the surrounding areas, stronger hues, basically more vibrant colors compared to elsewhere on the picture, a color that does not appear anywhere else in the image. Now this isn't to say you should always use a completely unique color in your focal point or even give it really vibrant colors. You might want to create a picture that is more subtle than the overall. Color tends to have its greatest impact on focal points when the image overall has a fairly neutral color palette. Draw more attention to your focal point by using a strong hue or a unique color. You don't have to stick to a monochrome palette to make use of color in your focal point, but very colorful overall image means you will have to use other devices to make our focal point stand out. Anytime that you use a color that is particularly vivid and it's different from the rest of the color palette, make sure it's on the focal point. Leading lines. Very often, the best compositions make use of lines that subtly point towards the focal points. Actually, when they are pointed out, they are not always that subtle. Sometimes, those lines can be so strong that whatever they point to becomes a focal point in itself, even if there is otherwise not much interest there. Leading lines can be made by roads, tree lines, river banks, rows of houses, fences, and so on, or they can be more subtle. The best way to understand them is to take a look at some examples. The first and most obvious example of leading lines is one-point perspective. If you are not sure about 1, 2 and 3-point perspective and what they relate to, you may like to watch my videos on illusion of depth part 1. In the image of the road, you have got strong lines either side of the picture and they all point towards the vanishing point. These lines are so strong and they have so much influence over the viewer's eye that your focal point needs to be within them. If we place some figures outside of these lines, for example, natural focal point, this image is going to struggle compositionally. Those figures are going to feel out of place and it's going to create a little bit of tension with the viewer. Leading lines point towards the focal point and it strengthens the fact that it's the focal point. Details. So far, we have looked at value and contrast, color, and leading lines as ways to intentionally highlight a focal point or inadvertently bring too much attention to an area that's not the focal point. The sharper and more detailed an area of your image, the more the viewer's eye is going to be drawn towards it. Photographers use something called depth of field, which is the distance where objects are in focus. A narrow depth of field means that only a small part of the image is in focus and everything else is defocused, either the background, foreground or both. The sharper and more detailed an area of your image is, the more the viewer's eye is going to be drawn towards it. Generally, you want your focal point to be most detailed part of your picture, but sometimes your focal point can have very little detail. Now, let's see some rules that are used in composition. The rule of thirds. In this, you divide your canvas into 3 equal sections, horizontally and vertically. The suggestion is that it's better to place points of interest, that is your focal point, on or near these lines, especially at the points where the lines intersect. Placing things in the center can make things less interesting, though may not be always. Let's look at 2 examples. The sailboat right in the center is less attractive than when placed in 1/3. Whereas in these cases, the deer in the middle between the vertical trees on top and horizontal ground makes perfect balance, and similarly the house in the middle of the divide makes a good central focal point. The rule of thirds isn't a rule, it's a principle that works well most of the time but can very often be broken with even better results. The principle of thirds is usually a safe bet, but it can also feel a little bit boring and glitched. If you are going to break the rule of thirds, such as low or high horizon line, make it obvious. Now we'll see another rule, the golden ratio. In a nutshell, when things are in a proportion that matches the golden ratio, they are said to be more aesthetically pleasing. The golden ratio is a number and it has lots of decimal places. For practical purposes, it's usually written as 1.618. Every explanation of the golden ratio is generally accompanied by a diagram like this. Here, what it means is AC is equal to AB into 1.618. That is, the entire length of AC is 1.618 times longer than AB. Now let's draw a rectangle that has a shape or a ratio that conforms to the golden ratio. All that means is that its length is going to be 1.618 times greater than its height. To do that, let's start by drawing a square, a perfect square. Let it be 10 cm by 10 cm. Now let's extend that to a rectangle of length 1.618 times longer than 10 cm, that is 16.18 cm. What we now have is a rectangle that is 16.18 cm long and 10 cm high. This is a perfect golden ratio rectangle, but it doesn't quite end there. This rectangle on the end can now be split up in the same way. If we take the height 10 cm and divide it by 1.618, we get 6.18. And that makes a perfect square and a rectangle again, just like the first time. And then in this smaller rectangle, you can make a perfect square and a rectangle again, and then again and again. And if you could draw small enough, you could go on and on for as long as you like. The theory is that you can position different elements according to the different sections made by one or more of the golden rectangles. If you connect all of these points with the rectangle, you will get the golden spiral or a Pythagoras spiral. Even some modern day designs like the Apple and Google logos are said to be based on the golden ratio. At least that's what some people claim. Now we'll talk of some other important aspects with respect to composition. Breathing space. When you are drawing or painting predominantly a single object and you place that object according to the principle of thirds or golden ratio, then you want to incorporate plenty of breathing space. By single subjects, this could be figure study, a portrait, an animal portrait, or even a floral or bird. Breathing space and areas of quiet help to bring the viewer's focus back to the focal point. You should be placing the breathing space towards the side the subject is facing, rather than at the rear. The more detail you have got in your breathing space, the more contrast you need with your focal point. Balance in your painting is all about the visual weight. Just as you can balance physical weights on set of scales of a seesaw, you can also balance visual weights on your artwork. Balancing your composition is not an exact science. Keep the seesaw analogy in your mind as you construct your drawing and painting. Filling the frame. Filling the frame means that you take the edges of your subject right to the edges of your canvas and beyond. It leaves your viewer in no doubt what your central subject is. It stops you from adding unnecessary stuff in the background that's going to distract you from your main subject. It allows you to show detail and texture that your viewer won't otherwise see. There is a lot of interest in detail and texture. It also creates drama and intensity. Things closer to us tend to have greater emotional impact. This is not in direct contradiction to breathing space because the view is so obviously zoomed in, the viewer doesn't expect that there should be an empty space around the subject. Vantage point. Vantage point is the position that you assume for your viewer when you make a piece of art. The simplest way to think about this is to think about when you take photographs. Eye level is the most common vantage point, and breaking away from this stereotypical point of view can create a lot of extra interest and theatre in your artwork. Consider giving your viewer a different perspective, such as worm's eye view, which is below the subject, or bird's eye view, which is above the subject. Now, that brings us to an end to the topic of composition. One important announcement here. There will be no fresh videos for the topics of grid method of enlarging an image, reflections and shadows concepts, since I have already made them earlier and these are available on my channel. I'll include links to these videos in the description. Please watch them and understand the concepts. Now that my community tab of the channel has been activated, you can interact with me through that, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. The next episode will be on drawing figures. Please observe various paintings by various artists in the meantime and check the aspects of composition. So till then, stay safe, stay happy, keep practicing. See you.